Second week of training camp for your New Orleans Saints is underway. Hi, everyone. Welcome into the afternoon wrap right here on NewOrleansSaints.com. So I'm Carolyn Gonzalez, joined by my co-host John DeShazier. JD, for once, the Saints weren't facing just heat as the element outside. What were they facing today?
Yeah, I feel kind of like a meteorologist right now. As you can see, my hair is blowing in the wind. We had wind gusts pretty much for the entirety of practice, and it wreaked havoc a lot with what they were trying to attempt to do offensively. You saw some passes flutter. Certainly quarterbacks had to adjust the way they were trying to throw through the wind, and so that made for lower trajectories, and some of those passes got batted down, and some of them were just flat out intercepted because they were bad passes. But I mean, I think the wind really wreaked a lot of havoc with practice, and Coach Sean Payton said pretty much the same thing.
Last night when we laid out the practice, the plan was to be outside if we could, and if the weather was raining or such that we couldn't, we'd go in. So we had cloud cover. Yeah, it was windy, but ended up being pretty good for us to be out there and practice.
Well, Sean Payton knows exactly what kind of conditions his team will face this year, not only in the Superdome, but outdoors as well. And he says this is a better gauge of the talent of their pass rush and the defense for the Saints this year.
In the team settings, because you're not finishing on the quarterback, and yet you get enough one-on-one pass pro work, and you do see how guys are rushing the passer in teams, even though they're not getting a chance to finish. So I think just as importantly, open field tackling, some of those things that we're going to have to look at in live situations to not only evaluate the defensive player, but also the offensive player. Some of these guys, receivers, backs, become a little bit more physical or a little bit better runner after the catch. We've got to be able to see that, and those are just some of the challenges that will be faced to practice rather than see it in a preseason game.
Well, JD, we are inching closer to the regular season opener there inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. What do you think are the plans for the Saints as we approach that September 13th opener?
Well, today was practice number 8. It was outside here at the Oshner Sports Performance Center. Practice 9 and 10 will also be at the facility. Not sure exactly if it's going to be indoor or outdoor. Weather will dictate that. But on Saturday, we anticipate going into the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Now, the Saints want to get in some scrimmages, some live scrimmage. They will probably not do that inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. However, they do want to get a couple of days' work in there, and Coach Sean Payton talked about that also after today's practice.
Yeah, I think we're going to plan on being in there Saturday of this week, and then next week we're still looking at the schedule. But getting accustomed to the new surface that's put down, the lighting, some of those things, and obviously we talked about this at the onset. Each one of these days we're outside practicing is that important because there are no preseason games, and we plan on having a scrimmage environment there. One of the afternoons we plan on scrimmaging out here, this week. So all of these practices are extremely important for guys fighting for roster spots.
JD, Tre'Quan Smith, wide receiver for the Saints going into his third season. His receiving yards were cut in half last year. He was dealing with injuries. In year 3, what do you expect out of Tre'Quan Smith?
Well, one, he looks healthy, and he makes tough catches. We know that from his game action, but he looks healthy, and he hadn't been that for a good part of his 2 seasons with the Saints. We also know that he's capable of making big plays. Remember, he was the guy who caught the 62-yard touchdown from Drew Brees that gave Drew Brees the all-time passing yards lead in the NFL. So he's the guy who always shows up, it seems, in big moments, Caroline.
Well, we heard from Tre'Quan earlier today saying that he got into the playbook a lot more this year.
The main thing I've been working on is basically knowing, like last year I played mainly outside, and then end of the season I got kind of moved into the slot. So I've been doing a lot of learning the slot, both the Y position and the F position, because it kind of interchange in this offense. So my main thing was just coming in and like really knowing the playbook. I thought I knew it a lot last year, but I feel like I'm way farther along with that. So that was my biggest thing, learning more of the playbook.
All right, JD, as always, you are our eyes and ears there at the Oshner Sports Performance Center. Who is on the field and who is off the field for the Saints today?
Well, biggest returnees, right tackle Ryan Ramczyk and running back Alvin Kamara. Both had missed a couple days of work. Kamara with a stomach bug and Ramczyk probably with some rest days. So both of those guys back at practice today. Also, defensive tackle Shy Tuttle makes an appearance at practice. Good to see Shy Tuttle back on the practice field. Now, Drew Brees was on the practice field, but it was a rest day for him arm-wise, so he didn't do any throwing. He was just out there. He didn't have on a helmet, didn't have on any pads, so it was pretty much a rest day for him. And also Malcolm Jenkins, the veteran safety, gets another rest day. We'll continue to monitor as we go along, but those were the guys who were on the field and weren't on the field.